Celtic may have left Dens Park with nae points this Sunday, but will Brendan Rodgers be leaving Dens Park with none of the blame? Or is it time he took some responsibility, looked in the mirror and admitted that he is simply not good enough? Welcome back, guys, to Fog Football, here to see how the Celtic fans react, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of sack the board, blame the board, give the board no more money, this, that, and they will blame some fringe players, some players that they've never wanted in there, the likes of Ralston, the likes of Scales. They'll probably blame Yang because he's useless anyway, but what about the people that really deserve the blame? What about the man that is in charge of the team? What about Brendan Rodgers, the guy that brings the players in, the guy that spends the money, the guy that picks the team? What about Captain Calmack, the man that is supposed to be the best player that Scotland has seen in like 20 years, according to Celtic fans? When are those guys going to start taking some of the blame? Any actual, we were supposed to be told, oh look, it may have been a free, but it wasn't a panic, but oh, best striker since Lars. When's he going to take some of the blame? This is a Dundee team that most people laughed at, a Dundee team that thought Stephen Presley would have been sacked by this stage of the season. Some people had him getting sacked by the end of August. I think you were one of them.
I think I said maybe in the end of July.
You know, we fast forward 2 months later, and Stephen Presley's took 4 points out of 6 against the Old Firm.
It should have been 6.
So we can sit here and make excuses, but this Celtic team should have been good enough to beat Kaimat Almighty, and it should have been good enough to beat Dundee, but it hasn't been. It's not good enough.
2 days in a row I've woke up to a 50-50 in terms of results. Yesterday it was 2-1 Dundee United. Rangers clawed it back. They make it 2 each, to be fair. And that's turned out to be a massive point, isn't it? Moved us into the top 6, and it moved us a point closer to Celtic. Because I woke up the day, I saw in my messages corruption. I feared the worst, and it turns out Dundee 2, Celtic 0. I've never woke up faster in my life.
Beautiful Sunday.
Beautiful Sunday indeed, yo. And I mean, what a day. Well, what a fucking day for it. I mean, I feel like I'm driving a Ferrari. I mean, I'm cruising the streets. I'm buzzing. Top down. Guns out. Brendan Rodgers just greeting, and it's about time that guy got a bit of blame on him, man. The Dundee team combined's worth about, 5 pence? This guy's sitting there with millions all over the pitch, and no matter what you think, right, about the summer transfer business, right, yeah, it wasn't great. We've covered that. We've bored you to death with that. What about Dundee's summer business, folks? They lost everybody. Yeah, and let's face it, they replaced them with what we thought was shite.
Dundee, pretty much, if you look at the starting 11 that they had for the last 2 seasons, since getting back into top flight, that got decimated. They pretty much lost everybody, and I mean everybody.
Yeah,
they from the defence to the midfield to their attacking options, they pretty much lost every single player in their starting 11. And their squad got decimated. And you could sit here and say, well, they had a shitty window. Their board didn't replace the players well enough. Their board went backwards by bringing in Stephen Presley and getting rid of Tony Docherty. You know, you could sit here and blame the Dundee board, but at the end of the day, you got to get over it. See, if you have a bad transfer window or a bad managerial appointment, you can sit and mope about it and dwell about it for the first couple of weeks, but you can't get halfway through a season or a quarter through a season and then still constantly go back to, well, we didn't sign this player, we didn't sign that player. The summer transfer window, it's happened. It's done. It's gone. Move on. Deal with what you've got. And what Celtic have got currently, I still believe is a squad that is good enough to... No, I believe. It's definitely a squad that's good enough to win the league.
It's embarrassing, right? You don't know why it's embarrassing, because... Yeah, Rangers have misspent their money. Celtic haven't spent enough. But the fact is, see, on paper, both clubs have... It's the first and second best transfer window in the league, just based off the players they're bringing in for actual value. Now, when you look at the transfer markets and the prices and the wages, they are bringing in, quote-unquote, the best quality. Now, obviously we know some of the money's been misspent, but the fact of the matter is that what are Dundee spending? What are the rest of the teams in this league? What are Dundee United spending? They're spending peanuts. They're spending hee-haw. It's not their fault that the top two are absolutely misplacing the money. People are bragging on about, Tanicki, he looks a player.
£5 million.
The other guy,
Balakisha, £5 million.
Arnie Engels last year, that's a Brendan Rodgers, 11 million on the bench, not doing anything.
Gets brought on with 6 minutes to go when they're trailing 2-0.
Yeah, and it's like, at what point is Rodgers going to take the brunt of the blame, right? Most people would agree that Russell Martin and Stephen Pressley are the two worst managers this year, correct? And he's picked up 1 point out of 6 against them, no goals. No goals. Russell Martin's Rangers, who conceded goals like there was no tomorrow. Stephen Pressley, who, let's face it, you wouldn't trust him to make you a cup of tea.
Everyone was ranting and raving about the Kieran Tierney signing when it was announced back in January.
Yep.
And at this moment in time, he looks a downgrade on Greg Taylor, who was another player, by the way, who was always made it to be the scapegoat. Anytime Celtic dropped points, had a poor performance, it was, get Greg Taylor out the club. We need to improve on Greg Taylor. Certain players at Celtic just always get thrown under the bus, and there's certain players that never get called out.
Who's the guy that signed at left
back? Just like the guy on our screen right now, Sarachi.
No, the other one. The Japanese.
Inamura.
Aye. Yo, he came in and
looked alright.
Had a good game against Levy and then got completely frozen out of the European
Rodgers basically said, this guy's not good enough.
I think the problem is that Brendan Rodgers he's being too loyal to guys that, let's face it, just aren't that good anymore.
And he doesn't seem to like the Japanese market. You look at Yamada, they brought him in for what, $2 million? Supposed to be the next Kyogo. Can't tell because what game times he had.
Exactly. He's got less than 60% win rate since January, has Brendan Rodgers. I mean, I know I can't talk. Russell Martin had 29, but it still stands. It's not good enough. I mean, I think the last 11 games, Celtic have won 4.
Yeah, it's pish. It's pish.
And that's here to cut you off. I mean, see, since the international, the last one, should have drew against Kelly. And should have, I mean, Motherwell, right, they came back and won, right? But let's face it, Motherwell deserved something out of that game. Yep. Absolutely. So there was people after
this has got me thinking Hearts' gap at the top should be way bigger than it is.
Yeah. No, they've been ranked rotten. It's easy to hide behind the board. Sutton's blaming the board, but like I said a couple of minutes ago, spent a lot of money. No matter what way we didn't want him, or he's no good enough, the quality's no that, still spent a lot of money on paper. I mean, look at the other clubs in the league. They're not spending 20 million on considered flops. You're still spending 20 million at the end of the day. That's the facts. It's not like Celtic have... See if Celtic were spending the same amount of money as like Hearts and Aberdeen, where it's only like a couple of mil on an accumulated amount of players, you might have a bit more of a case, but you're spending big money here. It's not like they've spent literally nothing. Like, yes, I know they've sold Kuhn, but the Celtic's business model is going to be selling Kuhn for 17 and bringing 2 guys in for 5. It's never going to be sell Kuhn for 15 and bring a guy in for 30. That's just not what this league is.
Or even 15.
Yeah, no.
Some people think we made 15 million profit on Kuhn, so therefore to replace Kuhn we need to spend 15 million. That's never going to happen. It never really has happened, and for a reason. The model in Scotland is you try and sell for big profit and then replace for as cheap as you can.
Yep.
I mean, you didn't see Motherwell attempting to bring in a replacement for Lennon Miller for £4 million. That was just not going to happen.
Like Sutton keeps banging on, they haven't replaced O'Reilly, they haven't replaced...
but they have,
they haven't replaced Abada. They've brought in guys for money.
Yeah, no, listen, Engels is not up to the level of O'Reilly, and I think you can all see that. But you can't sit here and say they haven't replaced O'Reilly. They spent £11 million and they broke their transfer record to bring in O'Reilly. Now, he's not good enough and he's not to the level of O'Reilly. Now, that's either on Rodgers or whoever finalised that deal. But you can't sit here and say they haven't replaced him. They've attempted to replace him.
Yeah, up the striker position is where they've got a claim. They've not really replaced Kyogo and they got rid of Ida and then they've only really brought in Ian Acho, and you could say, well, they could have spent money on someone to actually... But so, I'll accept the striker position, but at the same time, it's Ian Acho, the guy, what do you call him up front? The young...
Kenny?
No,
Yamada?
Aye, Yamada. I mean...
Osmond?
Aye. So, you need to play them. If Ian Acho's no good enough, you've still got other options.
Definitely, but I think Rodgers
He's
is
stuck in his ways.
Rodgers is a shite bag. No matter how bad any actual plays, the only guy that is going to replace any actual at centre forward is Dyson Maeda. That's the only guy that Rodgers would stuck in.
I feel
there.
like with Ian Acho, the only reason he's came is agreed game time, and because Rodgers knew him, he's guaranteed. I mean, as shit as Rangers are, at least you can say, well, you know what, Miovski's starting games. Shermitty's some. I mean, I would be lying to say Rangers tried to replace like Dessers.
Yeah, you cannot.
You can't say
Rangers didn't. They haven't replaced Dessers. They haven't replaced Igamat. They have spent money on 2 strikers to come in and replace the 2 that have left. Now, yes, the 2 strikers that they brought in aren't as good as the 2 strikers that left, but that's through no attempt at trying to replace them. Because this whole I'd say the only person they haven't really replaced is Kyogo.
Yes.
But then again, they did bring in Yamada, and he was supposed to be the next Kyogo.
Yeah.
So you could argue that's a direct replacement. Well, we just haven't seen enough of the guy to come to the conclusion whether he's any good or not. But I think we better get into the reaction here, or you just want to bash Celtic for the rest of the video?
Yeah, I could bash Celtic all day, every day. But I mean, at the end of the day, my weekend was pretty poor, and then this has cheered me up a bit. But
it was a fucking amazing weekend.
I think the fact
for me anyway,
the gap is 8 points between Celtic and Rangers is insane.
It kind of just shows how bad Rangers are, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Anyway,
there he is.
There, the governor.
The governor.
Welcome to Woodbury.
Aye, well,
welcome to Dens Park.
That tank was raining down on Dens Park today. Explosives.
Yep. Good night. Absolutely.
Happy for Stephen Presley though. He's taking a lot of stick. I like Presley. You know what he might not be the most charismatic manager or the most enthusiastic,
he's got a bit of aura about him, doesn't he?
But he's got something like
stands there with his wee specs on, his blue light specs.
See when he talks, I listen.
Aye, no, absolutely. Don't. Yeah, I sit down and listen, especially when he beats Celtic. I don't give a fuck what he's got to say.
Yeah.
How boring it is, I'll be there. But yeah, even Martin.
Well, 4 points out of 6 against the Old Firm. That's good going.
I know.
No matter how bad they are, that's you can't like that. Like that's.
Congrats on passing the ball, Celtic. They passed it. Time is up. Sack the board. Back the collective. Back the protest. Force changes inside the club. I think people need the Celtic board aren't going anywhere. You know what though? This if they lost the league to Hearts this year, that would probably get rid. Well, it'd be in a step closer to get rid of the board. But like I said in other fids, you're not getting rid of the board. No board leaves when they're on top. It always tends to be like transitional or if they're doing shite. And that's what you need.
Yeah, you said if they lost the league to Hearts, they'd probably rather lose it to Hearts though than Rangers, wouldn't they? Even though you could argue it'd be embarrassing if they lost it to Hearts, or it'd be a bigger failure, but
I know. I think there's way more chance of them getting rid of the board if they lost to Hearts than Rangers.
Fair enough.
I feel like, I mean, if Rangers actually spent 40 million and they brought a good manager in and they spent it all correctly, and Celtic fans lost that, it would be easier to swallow than Tony Bloom's Hearts because it's just the norm, isn't it, at the end of the day?
Yeah, but Tony Bloom's Hearts are going places, and people might not want to accept it, but it's happening.
I mean,
Tony Bloom's not failed anywhere.
Gazima's the only guy that the Jamestown Analytics would have signed for Rangers, so how about we run that on?
And honestly, Gazima's probably the only guy I'd take in the team. It's funny that the Jamestown Analytics has gave him the only pass.
I'll tell you why he's the only pass, because he was bought for an absolute cutthroat price, and he's young, and he's going to go on for profit. You look at the rest of the signings that Rangers brought in, most of them are loans, so that's automatically against Jamestown Athletics, and big loans as well. Then you look at Shermitty. I mean, if you want to look at a guy that's the absolute opposite Jamestown Analytics, I mean, even Miovski, who I thought was going to be a good signing, still could be, but Miovski's not the kind of... I mean, Rangers could make a profit on him if he turns out to be good, but realistically, I don't think that's ever the signing there.
Yeah, but if you were just... Without looking at the fact that Shermitty, if you were told Rangers are spending £8 million on a striker, you'd automatically get excited.
Yeah.
Then you find out it's him and you're automatically less excited. But
it's rising to 10 million.
But £8 million is still a lot of money for Rangers to be spending.
I think Stevie Smith's arse collapsed though yesterday, taking off Gazima for Shermitty.
Should Celtic though, should they have been spending about £8 million on a striker? Probably. I think they should have.
Yeah.
And they were linked with that Kivsgarden for a while.
They should have brought him in.
And I think he ended up going for 7. So I don't see... It's not like they were priced out of that.
But you know what? See the Celtic board, they've brought in wingers for money and they still get bashed. They could have brought in a striker for about 6-7 million. He could have been pish. Or not have done much and still get bashed.
Is it the board though? Or yeah, no, you're right. Is it the board though or is it Rodgers? But you look at it, they brought in Balakisha and Tuneki and they're saying, oh, we didn't strengthen. So Celtic could have... hindsight, based on what we've seen with the wingers, they could have brought in a striker for 5-6 million, and if he didn't perform, they would have just went, well, we haven't replaced Kyogo.
Yeah, no, it's crazy, man. And the guys that are taking the brunt are like the homegrown player. You're Ralston shite, we know that, but see the amount of people that are bashing Liam Scales. Liam Scales been the best defender this year. I don't give a for Celtic. I don't care what you say. Carter Vickers has been shite, by the way. Own goals, mistakes.
Let's move on. Rangers Spears. What are they
saying? Yous are probably worse than us, and that takes some doing. Fucking pish. I mean, worse than us this weekend. I'll accept that.
Yeah.
One.
Yeah.
Celtic were pretty bad. I mean, Rangers had a good half. I don't know if Celtic can make that.
I don't know. Rangers are still trailing by 8 points. Like it would be hard to think you have the bragging rights.
Absolutely. We shall not be moved. That's a team.
That's a team playing well.
Braga going round the goalie.
I mean, that was great. Took it round the goalkeeper with his right and just tapped it in with his left.
That's a guy.
1-2, bang.
But see, to me, this is the thing, right? See,
how does it feel, though, that Hearts got Braga for 400k and Rangers have to pay probably 10 million for Schmidt?
Well, see, that's what I'm getting at, though, right? That's just poor recruitment. But, see, at the same time, see if Rangers get rid of Dessels for 4 million or whatever it was, and they bring in Braga, people bash that. Oh, you're signing the guy for 10 times cheaper. And then it's Celtic's the same. You sell Kyogo, you sell Ida. See if Celtic brought in Braga, they'd be like, oh, he's not been backed. Even though Braga, everyone can admit, has been one of the players of the season and looks good. But it's all about the fees. That is what it comes down to, man. So it's all about fucking narratives. See, at the end of the day, see if Russell Martin was good, you wouldn't be looking at and actually getting a tune to the players. You wouldn't be thinking twice it. See if Brendan Rodgers was actually stepping up the task with the team that he's been dealt. He should be beating Dundee.
Ultimately, it is the performance and the level of player that they bring in that really matters and will really determine if they have replaced players. But
look at the
but initially though, the fee buys you time.
No, it does.
Like, see, you can bring in a player at 10 million, and even if he turns out to be a dud, the fact that you spent 10 million on him will buy you time. If you bring in a guy at 400k and he's a dud, then straight off the bat you're up against it because you're being accused of penny pinching and not spending money.
But look at like Hatate, look at like Maida, look at Kyogo, all brought in for relatively cheap combined. With the Celtic board not spending money then, they were.
Well, let's move on.
Look how those three turned out to be. So, yes, we may have been embarrassed today, but just look at that possession stat. Where is it? I don't even see the possession stat. Do you?
It was 82, but they done nothing with it. I mean, Dundee looked a lot more threatening with their 18. So
he's taking the piss, but Salmon's how do you say it again?
Pizzeria.
Pizzeria. Thoughts on that one? There's more blame on Brendan or the players. It lies with Brendan and the players, man. Blaming the board's embarrassing. You want to know why blaming the board's embarrassing? I guarantee you Celtic would be playing better if they just sacked Rodgers and brought someone else in.
How come it doesn't make any sense to me how on one side of the city one manager has gotten away with everything, but on the other side one manager got pretty much the blame for everything? Why did Russell Martin not go with the narrative of blaming the board? Claim he wasn't backed enough? Probably because he couldn't say that because he actually did spend a lot of money.
He got a lot of money spent. I don't really. Probably because of the amount of all he did was talk about me. Oh, nothing out of the ordinary. You're gonna have a couple of conversations, Fucking losing every game, man. Nothing out of the ordinary, Martin. Go in. Guy's a fucking weapon. Who are we trying to kid?
Celtic Brazil. The main person responsible for Celtic's tragic season isn't Brendan Rodgers or the players. The blame lies entirely with the club's management. The board created a terrible job market. Congratulations to those involved. So there you go. again, players and manager being resolved of all blame. I don't understand it.
It's embarrassing, man. I don't understand it either. Yo, see as fucking shite as Russell Martin was and is, and I mean Rodgers has been shit. Why is like the board taking all the brunt for Celtic? It's like yesterday. It's got to be on players as well for Rangers, but for Celtic today, this isn't just a one-off, right? This has been pretty much all season. Celtic, apart from about 2 or 3 games, have looked well off it. They've rode their luck through games and they've scored last-minute winners.
Well, we've got some breaking news. Chris Burke has left Kilmarnock as his role of under-19s coach.
Is he getting the Rangers job?
Thinking that, like, he could be heading to Glasgow.
We've got an under-19 coach in charge right now.
Burke and Smith, that could be the duo going forward.
Burke and Smith sounds like cigarettes or something. Some shitey brand that Winston would have been reading off the machine. But anyway, right, moving on. This was February, by the way. Decline started since that game, didn't it? Against Bayern Munich. Can't show too much of that or else they'll copyright our ass. I was bored watching Rodgers' teams in the first stint, and I'm bored watching this team and all, and the players look bored too. Sack him tonight, he's leaving, and clearly doesn't care at this point. I doubt Ange will come back, but I'd take him because we need a change of style.
I don't know. I think Ange needs to repair his reputation.
I think Ange 120%
would come back.
Yes, right. I don't think after leaving Tottenham he came back, but see, it's like Gerrard, right? Gerrard gets sacked for Villa and then he goes to Saudi Arabia and it's a disaster. You can't afford 2 disasters in a row and go back to the Premier League.
Well,
the same way Ange.
At this point, Ange ain't getting another Premier League job.
No.
If Ange is staying in England, he'll be getting Championship at best.
Yep.
Whereas if he goes back to Celtic and rebuilds with a couple of good seasons, who's to say he can't walk back into the Premier League? But I just think based on Ange's Nottingham Forest stint, I think Celtic's about as good as it could get for him. I don't think he'll be aiming for much higher.
Yeah,
I'm not saying he can't perform at that level, but I just think after, you take Tottenham, you finish 17th in the league, and then you take over Forest, and you only last 39 days. I don't think I don't think Ange Postecoglou can choose to be too picky over his next job.
But he did get 7 million for Forest, so I'm not expecting the guy to come back too soon.
No, I mean, why come to Glasgow and you can go and just, live on a beach for the next fucking rest of your life, really?
7 million for 8 games of football. That's no bad, isn't it? Not. Fair play to Dundee. No excuse for Celtic, who were positively minced today away to the league leaders. Next big improvement. Will be required to get anything out of that one. Issues throughout the team. Rodgers have to get a better tune at the players at his disposal with the big Hulk Hogan at the end, brother. But in terms of Hearts, right? What happens if Hearts beat Celtic next week? No, see if Hearts beat Celtic.
Are Hearts favourites for the title?
No. Not only are Hearts favourites. Well, I'm not saying they're favourites for the title. That's a discussion to have next week if that happens. We're talking about Martin getting sacked when the gap was 8-9 points. We're talking about Gio Beale. Come on, what about fucking Rodgers? How no?
Here, that is true. Like,
I'm not just.
Sticking the boot in. No, that's actually a fair
Rangers
point.
managers can get sacked from being that points off Celtic teams that, let's face it, were considered fucking great, and they were those Ange teams. I'm not saying Hearts aren't great, but it's unacceptable in my opinion to have the amount of money that Celtic have spent and the dominance to be this far off a Hearts team that are a couple of months into the rebuild.
I know, but you do feel like the fact that they're also 8 in front of Rangers just means he isn't getting sacked. I think if
might not be it next week.
Here,
could be 5.
If it was Rangers that were 5 points in front,
and they were 8 though.
Yeah, but if it was, well, it's not happened yet.
Well, I'm saying if. I'm not saying right.
Yeah,
now.
But I'm saying if it was Rangers. Listen, Donut Cooper, how about you let me finish? I'm saying if it was Rangers that were 5 points clear, and it was Celtic going to Ibrox next week, then I think his job would be on the line, potentially, depending on the result. Because if you lose at Ibrox and you go 8 behind Rangers, then yeah, why not? Because we've seen managers for Rangers get sacked going that dropping that far behind. But I just think it's a different kettle of fish. The Celtic board will probably believe that even if they do fall 8 behind, they've got enough to pull it back. Whereas I think previously Rangers boards have thought that when Rangers managers drop 8 behind Celtic, they ain't getting back in the title fight.
I don't see any improvement for this Celtic team with Rodgers. It just seems so stagnant. I mean, people are like, oh, that Dundee game's going to wake us up. That's the worst thing that could have happened to Hearts. I don't see Celtic going to Tynecastle next week and putting in a great performance and winning. Like, easy. It's not they could win, right? That can obviously happen. It's a game of football, folks. But honestly, I think the best way for Celtic to win the league is to get rid of Rodgers. We all know about the third season, how stagnant it becomes. It's became stagnant. They're not good.
Well, if a defeat against Hearts gets Rodgers to sack, then we better let him get a draw because I don't want Rodgers sacked.
No, honestly. Is there more chance of Hearts winning the league with Rodgers at Celtic than not? Yes.
Honestly, see if you told me next week that if Hearts won, Rodgers would get sacked and Ange Postecoglou would be in for the next game, I would probably purposely take a draw.
Yep. No.
To avoid that.
I would agree.
Because I think that I think long term we've got a better chance to win the league with Brendan in charge.
Yep.
And even if they brought in somebody that's maybe not as good as Brendan Rodgers as the manager, that the manager bounce is real. We've seen it happen.
Yeah. I agree though with you, because if you look at Twitter, if you look at even as fans react, right, there's not many Celtic fans calling for Rodgers' head.
No.
If it was Rangers 5 clear and looking as good as Hearts were with the possibility of going 8, I think Rodgers would... No, I'm not saying he'd be away, but it's weird though. We're so used to Rangers sacking managers. When was the last time Celtic sacked the manager? It was Lennon. Right, but look at that gap. Look at that season.
Yeah, but even now, it doesn't feel like there's that much panic. There's not many people going, oh, next week's must win. We're not really seeing that. Even with Boyd and Sutton, like, they weren't really... They weren't.
But I think we're at the point now, even if Celtic won next week, I'm not thinking, well, that's over. I'm just thinking, well, that's it close.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Anyway, that's this video over. I think
it was a great wee Sunday, guys. Fair play to Dundee. You know what, man? We all wrote them off. I think most of us put them to finish 12th, but...
I actually predicted them to win 1-0 this weekend, and I changed it.
And that's the thing, man. It's not even like Dundee just were lucky here.
No, they actually deserved it.
You don't beat Celtic 2-0 and get lucky. You have to play well, and they did. And you know what, man? Fair play to them, and I think they'll stay up, man. Just need to build on this anyway. Leave your thoughts down below, and peace.